Okay, hello everybody. Thanks very much for joining Ultima's Microsoft licensing webinar for May. Today is the 6th of May, and my name is Ian Gerrard. So I've been a Microsoft licensing consultant and then kind of team leader, and now kind of head up the whole software team and manage the workspace for Ultima, which basically means can kind of help and have been guiding customers for a number of years through the whole Microsoft portfolio of products, how they're kind of licensed, and then commercially how to take advantage or be aware of the latest news to try and bring some clarity to that Microsoft licensing world, and ultimately kind of calling out the updates and the changes that you need to be aware of, how to kind of interact, how to get the best deal commercially from Microsoft, and what's kind of going on as a trend within the marketplace. I really do encourage questions, whether they're kind of dropped into the chat or whether they're sent to me afterwards. These webinars are very much for our clients' needs. So whatever you want to hear about, please do let me know. And that's effectively what we are going to be talking about over what's going to be the next 20 to 25 minutes. But please let me know any future subjects as they come up, or if there's any individual questions that arise at the same time as well. You can contact myself, like I say, ian.gerrard@ultima.com, or you can contact your own licensing specialist or your account team. Or if you're not sure, you can just contact general inquiries with Ultima. But please, please come to us. You will be sent a recording of this webinar as well. In regards to the agenda, what I'm really going to be running through is some of the updates to Microsoft's cloud licensing. I get asked a lot of questions. Certain ones come up again and again, so I'll try and cover off those questions and try and preempt some of the questions that you've already got. So hopefully that will work. That will work for us. The next piece I'll cover off is other things regarding some of the specific CSP updates, notably the 3-year pricing, other price increases, promos, incentives, what's kind of going on with Microsoft in regards to Microsoft Enterprise Agreements and CSP, what's their approach, and how do you as an organization take advantage of that approach, depending on where you are. And many will have very unique, very specific use case scenarios that we'll try and run through. I think that a great place to start, one of the big updates, which everything else kind of I will be referring back to this later, is Microsoft did make the movement of removing the Teams license from Microsoft 365 E3 and Microsoft 365 E5. But this was only for, to be absolutely clear, this is only for new customers, and they've absolutely maintained that. So if you're an existing customer, you're coming up to renewal, or you want to add new users, you can do that and still have that license included within those bigger suites. Microsoft are kind of separating it out, mainly due to some anti-competitive laws at the European courts, but we are seeing this also as a way to slip through a bit of a price increase, because once you remove Teams Enterprise from that license, you can add it back in. If you combine that cost together, you are looking at about a 5% price increase if you're doing that. So although this is not being positioned as a price increase, if you are having to separate them out, then that is the case. Previously, if you were switching from like EA to CSP, or from CSP to EA, or maybe you're paying with your credit card, maybe you were on Teams Premium and you were looking to move to E1 or E3, when you were doing that transition, that was effectively going to be classed as a new license. So you're thinking, well, this isn't a new user, I'm actually just stepping up. Why am I being penalized for this? Actually, all I'm doing is moving from this agreement, this billing structure, from EA to CSP. I'm changing the way I'm billing it. I'm not changing my licenses. I'm not changing my products. I'm not changing the functionality my users need to use. So one of the other updates from Microsoft is if you are doing that switch from billing, whether it's credit card, EA, CSP, that will be reflected. Microsoft will actually acknowledge the fact that you are an existing Teams user, and you will not be impacted by Teams being removed from those licensing suites. So that is a big update. It's further support into the CSP. So while everyone talks about Teams being separated, it truly is only for 100% new users on a new tenant. So we're seeing now cross-agreement transitions and migrations and transfers being really straightforward. There's been a lot of development, when we're talking about Microsoft Cloud licensing, I'm going to make the assumption that everyone kind of has an awareness around what E1 is, what E3 is, what E5 is. And there's a lot of talk about, well, what comes after E5, what's included within E3, what's included within E5, and at what point does E6 become? And that's getting too far ahead of us. But there's been a lot of talk about the Microsoft Power Platform. Currently, Microsoft 365 E5 and Office 365 E5 does include Microsoft Power BI, but it does not include Power Automate. It does not include Power Apps. It does not include the Power Pages either, or the full product. Maybe E6 will have that in the future, but the question today, which is important to understand, is that well, you do get some functionality within that Microsoft 365 E3 license. You get, like, I mean, a good way, and the terminology I've used here is these seeded licenses. So it gives you a little bit of the functionality, but not the full functionality, a kind of lifting up of the carpet. For example, with Power Apps, you know, if a user has a Microsoft 365 E3 license, don't need E5, with an E3 license, those users can actually create and use apps with standard connectors. Look, standard connectors are basically Microsoft connectors, premium connectors, and the Dataverse effectively when you're using kind of non-Microsoft product, non-Microsoft apps, or some usage of non-Microsoft data. That's when you'd kind of need to buy that additional licensing, you know, Power Apps per user if it's just one user or one app, or Power Apps Premium if you need multiple, which are kind of separate licenses. But that initial seeded, much reduced, is included within E3 for Power Apps. And it's, you know, it's kind of similar with Power Automate as well, right? So users can create and run flows using standard connectors, using Microsoft's own technology, using the technology that you're actually getting within that Microsoft 365 E3 license. PowerPoint, Word, Teams, SharePoint, you know, Viva to a certain extent. So again, with Power Automate, if you're using those standard Microsoft connectors, that functionality is included within the E3 level of licensing. It's actually the premium connectors, or when you're going outside of that Microsoft stack, that suddenly you need to buy a separate license for Power Automate. And actually similar with Power Apps, Power Automate, you've kind of got that individual one. I've got one guy, one user, creating one flow, buy one license for that, relatively low cost. And then Power Automate Premium, where people are kind of creating multiple workflows for multiple reasons across multiple users or systems or environments. Finally, Power BI. So we know that Power BI Pro is included within Microsoft 365 E5, but it is also included within Microsoft 365 E3 as well, or again, kind of basic functionality is. So again, kind of read-only rights to this. You can't really interact with those reports. And again, those reports need to be, need to be shared in a particular way, which we can kind of get in regards to how that's done. But I think it's probably an offline discussion in regards to whether they're being shared within workspaces, premium workspaces, or whether they're just kind of being shared via like an Excel spreadsheet, which, you know, tick, or workspaces, which kind of means separate licensing. Is that licensing included within E3? No, but it is included within E5. So there's lots of kind of questions regarding that Power Platform, because people sometimes think, oh my goodness gracious, I need to buy that full E5 license, or even that full Power Automate Premium license. Well, actually, let's explore what you've already got included within that current base license. And in exactly that, you know, a lot of the conversations we're having leading into Microsoft's end of year is, I'm on E3 or I'm on E1. Is there value in E5? Is there value in the next level of licensing up? And the first thing we do before answering that is, yeah, you profile the users, make sure you understand what the functionality, well, we know what you're looking to do, but is it already included in the licensing that you have? So I've just gone through the Power Platform, and some other updates Microsoft are making are Viva. You know, what is included within the suites. Viva is one of those products that hasn't had a great take from customers. Don't really see the value. You can kind of buy the individual SKUs for Viva. You know, you can buy Viva Connections, Viva Insights, Viva Learning, or you can kind of buy the whole Viva suite. Microsoft haven't sold that much of it. So they're bundling more and more into like the E3 suites, into these licensing suites, to kind of see that usage and think, well, actually, if we start to get people using it by delivering it as a free license, it's not free, as included within the Microsoft 365 E3 licensing suite, that will start encouraging people to use it. And you'll get a copy of these slides. Like, I'm not just going to read verbatim off them, but again, you get several of the features, maybe not the full features. You know, it's all of Viva is designed to enhance that employee experience. There's some really interesting things going on with Viva Insights in particular, especially when it comes to Copilot, that I can come on to a little bit later. But also Microsoft are basically saying, if you're buying Microsoft Copilot, I must be jumping ahead of myself. If you're buying Microsoft Copilot under an enterprise agreement, you can effectively get Viva Insights free of charge added. It's kind of a lead SKU, which means it's not on the price list. You have to apply for Microsoft, but they are granting it left, right, and absolutely without issue now, leading into their end of year. Again, the reason that they're doing that is it gives users and IT and the business insight into what users are doing with the licenses they've been given, in particular Copilots. They can kind of see where the value is coming. It really helps build that internal use case, that internal ROI. So then if that user is given all of these free Viva Insights for the 50 Copilot licenses that they've bought, Viva Insights will then say, and here's how you get bigger ROI. So it helps encourage more licenses bought on top, quite straightforwardly. And again, so Viva is a general, not been a huge success, basically including it within the suites to a greater degree of functionality to encourage usage. There are other updates as well, which will resonate with some customers, and they won't with others. So you will get a copy of these slides. I think it's important just to kind of run through these, and you can again come back to us if you need more information. You know, one interesting thing is regarding this remote network bandwidth. So customers who do use the global secure access, you do actually get an allocation of bandwidth within each license that you buy. The table on the right basically says if you've got between 45 and 50 licenses, and it's basically all based around Entra, right? That's actually the if you look there on the right, that's actually the breakdown of those additional licenses that you do get, which does make for interesting reading. I think if that's something that's important for you, it's interesting. Not everyone knows, or that the latest update that you can actually have an allocation calculated in that way. Purview. So Microsoft Purview, we know, is a suite of products generally focused on that data security, governance, and compliance for users. It was kind of introduced a while ago, when you kind of it's paid for via Azure consumption, and there's all these different consumption SKUs. Some are added in January. What is important to know is that from May the 1st, which was a few days ago, there's a new set. So there's new SKUs coming through which are aimed at protecting your data. But again, it is all broken down. We're kind of talking about data security, data compliance, data lifecycle management, e-discovery premium. These all now have a new rate as opposed to a standard rate, kind of broken down in the Azure consumption. That was a change effective as of 6 days ago. So if you do use Purview, which is possible to do, it's possible for those costs to escalate. So it is important to review those new SKUs and just see if that's something that you're interested in. Actually, another, I wouldn't say it's a gotcha from Microsoft, but it's certainly something to be aware of, is around Windows Auto Patch as well. So this is a cloud service, right? So it automatically delivers your updates, kind of available to all users who had that Windows 10/11 Enterprise E3, Windows E3, Windows E5 per user license. So it is important to recognize that that is now available for those business premium users as well. This has actually come out in April, but it's a really good, and education users as well, perhaps the A3 and A3. But if you're business premium, you now get Windows Auto Patch. It's great. It's a new update to their cloud licensing. It's a bit of good news. Now, more good news. from Microsoft in regards to the CSP updates. This was something that was announced last week, and again, kind of supports this general shift from Microsoft. From kind of a previously, if you were kind of 500 up to 2,400 users, kind of level A enterprise agreement, Microsoft are now kind of encouraging users of that size to start exploring the CSP as a really viable option. One of the biggest pushbacks was the fact that the EA is great because it provides you with that 3-year price lock. So regardless of whether you can sign the agreement and 2.5 years later, you're still paying that same price that you signed up for 2 and a bit years ago. That's coming to CSP. CSP is great, you've got flexibility, but you'd only have a 12-month price lock. There were options for monthly as well. You've got the monthly flex options, but that's not a price lock. You have to pay a premium, and there's no price lock with that. But the good news is that there is now the introduction of 3-year price lock from the 1st of June for Microsoft 365 E3, E5, for Teams enterprise licenses, if it is been separated out from that SKU, with more to come in July. The security suite, E5 for compliance. Actually, when you look at the 3-year, I think E1 is available on 3-year. Some of the business premium is not. It's not like you have to pay the full 3 years up front. You still kind of pay as an annual bill. What is important to recognize is that there is no reductions within that 3-year time period. So if you sign up for 100 users, 200, 300, 400, 500 users, you're kind of making that user commitment for the next 3 years. There is a balance, right? It's great if you know that user account's not going to go. But many organizations already, we're talking about your core users, and then maybe a buffer where you only want to make a 1-year commitment rather than, to have that flexibility that the CSP still offers you. So it's important to understand your, again, profile of your users, and if this is going to impact you in a big way. But it's really good news that there's now a 3-year price lock on this CSP agreement. So we're just working through with all of our customers, assessing each the portfolio and the productivity, the profile of the user, what licenses that they need and how long they will need them for, and the commercial position that CSP could potentially offer you. I mean, Microsoft have put even more enhancements within the CSP program. I mentioned before around kind of including the Teams bundles, but then you've now also got the 3-year price lock. The price point is already underneath what EA is, and now they've introduced additional CSP promos and incentives, much of these running up until the end of June this year. And again, it's something that they're not available on the enterprise agreement. Things like a 15% discount on your Copilot licenses. Actually, they had that limited up to 300. This has now been, and it was up to March, the end of March, and for maximum of 300 users. This has been extended to the end of June, is now up to 2,400 users. That's significant because that 2,400 users is that Microsoft EA user account switch. That's the top of level A. So it's effectively saying, hey, if you're an organization, a commercial organization, corporate commercial organization with up to 2,400 users, CSP is probably potentially going to be commercially, with the promos and the incentives, the best option for you. Partners like Ultimate obviously fully built out our self-service portal and all of that. But we're also seeing discounts on things like E3 and E5 for new users only, first-time customers only. Big caveats around that. But these promos and incentives are simply not available on the EA and are available on the CSP. As a direct CSP expert partner with all the designations, we also get access to all of the various MCI funding workshops that we can kind of look to deliver to our customers as well as part of that value added piece, and being able to raise things like vouchers. So if you're looking as a competitive compete, maybe you are moving away from this product to a Microsoft product, that's still something we can use the CSP and still leverage that direct relationship with Microsoft, any direct account teams, or even those who look after unmanaged customers looking to do anything before the end of June. And it's on CSP, and it's something new. There's going to be some kind of promo and incentive, hopefully, for you to work with. So please engage with me. Please engage with your licensing consultant or your Ultima account team. There are price increases coming. There's always going to be, really, with Microsoft, whether they call it a price increase or not. actually, I don't want to be completely disingenuous, because back in April this year, there was a price decrease. When I say April, I obviously mean February, because that's what I said the first time. And it was a 6% reduction on February 2025, February the 1st, 2025, 6% reduction. We do know there's price increases coming, mainly around the on-premise side, which ones I've put up there. The 10% increases on the SharePoint on-premise server, Exchange on-premise server, kind of coming on July the 1st. These are not the hybrid servers. So if you've got Microsoft 365 E3, E5, you're kind of granted the productivity servers on-premise to manage that hybrid collaboration. Those, no changes, still gifted them within that suite. No, this is if you're running Exchange and SharePoint or Skype on-premise. It's going to be a 10% increase on those on-premise server licenses from the 1st of July. And similarly, you need user CALs for that. If you've got Microsoft 365 E3 and E5, you're still covered, no impact on you. But if you're still buying like CALs, Core CAL, Enterprise CAL, you can see those are increasing by 15 to 20%. Respectively from July as well. So look, I mean, if you are entirely on premise, Microsoft are increasing the prices, offering lots of incentives on the cloud subscriptions, discounts, vouchers, more product being included. So there's always the question of what's the best way to engage with Microsoft when it comes to those negotiations. Starting early, starting those conversations with Microsoft early, or that's not true, those internal reviews early, trying to understand critically what you need. What does your end user need? What do you need as an organization? Is it a governance and compliance thing? Is there an issue around data and AI? Or is it more around making your users more productive and more collaborative? So that's still really the same position, being able to leverage partners like Ultima to understand, to do those health checks, to help us work through if there is a migration piece, how to leverage the best deal from the vendor, in this case, Microsoft. That's still something which we really do add a lot of value around, because then you can start to optimize your usage in regards to only buying the product that you need to buy, but understanding where your roadmap's going. So yeah, you might get a great deal for now, but if we're looking at a 3-year CSP or whatever it is, it's actually securing that price in the long term, which must build in the other stages within your roadmap. If there are things that you're looking at, maybe you're an E3, you're looking at the Defender Security Suite, maybe it's some of the Power Platform, whatever it is, kind of understanding, optimizing the usage for today, but also for the future, to work out what that roadmap is, and commercially, strategically, technically, what that migration and how to get the best deal possible. It's not just a conversation of, oh, you should buy the licensing through the CSP. Oh, you should buy the licensing through the EA. It's like, yeah, big part of it, cost, of course, fulfillment, larger software cost potentially within your organization. It's all about leveraging. It's all about leveraging the other pieces regarding getting the best deal. Staying informed, making sure you've got the latest information, the latest changes, the nuances to the licenses aren't going to change the moment you sign and you getting the best long-term deal. And then you're just quite simply aligning all of this with your business goals, which is something I've already kind of covered off as well as absolutely critical. So these are the types of things that haven't kind of changed. What we're here to do is to make sure we're helping you out with those early stages, really kind of clarifying and understanding your needs, aligning that to the commercial decision points. But please let us help you, which is always really the same message, with kind of free of charge services, reviews, and high optimization. Just going to take a moment to have a sip of water. Highly professional. Excellent. Moving on to product updates. I think, again, I don't need to necessarily talk through some of these in regards to the changes that Microsoft server model. Yeah, we know that there's price increases coming. We covered that a moment ago. But if you are staying on premise for whatever reason, you'll see you're actually going to be you are going to be encouraged, therefore forced to move to the subscription, as opposed to buying it perpetually, that subscription model. Again, that's only for those on premise. This is such a hot topic. It's something that I cover quite a lot. And it is effectively regarding Windows Server 2012, and the security updates year 3 later in October this year. And you as an organization can effectively, you got 3 options, right? To extend that server, you can migrate it to Azure, and then all of those patches and security updates come at no additional cost. But hey, if only if it was that simple. Option number 2 would be to utilize Azure Arc, which is effectively for servers that remain on premise, but you can buy those extended security updates via Azure Arc. You do need to enroll your workloads within Azure for that. And again, similarly, Ultima can help with that and that piece of work. And it's a good way to manage those costs. You can kind of basically buy those security updates on a month-by-month basis, and you can kind of end them at any time once that upgrade or upgrade path has been completed. And then the third option, most popular, most common option, is to buy it as a volume license, buy 1 year's worth as additional support. It's expensive. It's the same cost as literally rebuying the license. And we're coming up to the 3rd year, but that's still a really active discussion amongst many organizations and what to do. Majority of which, as you say here, kind of do purchase via volume licensing, which also has got several caveats attached to it as well. It's an expensive year-on-year support to buy. You need to have active software assurance, even if you're just joining it now, midway through, towards the end of year 2, and you've got a new server, you'd still need to go and rebuy years 1 and 2, and then by year 3, because those updates are cumulative. So you'd need to purchase for each of the 3 years. So there is, it's something that Microsoft discouraged just through the sheer commercial weight. The ones enabled via Azure Arc, you can pay monthly. It's done through your Azure billing. A lot more flexibility and a lot more easier to be delivered. Plus, you get that Azure wraparound management service. So it sounds like Azure Arc is the way to go. And I'm going to come on to some updates, which is why I'm mentioning it now, with some new charges Microsoft are actually bringing to Azure Arc. If you're managing like 2012 extended support, that's one thing. But now they are introducing some Azure Arc charges if you're actually managing some of your newer kind of 2020 plus server edition security updates via that. You'll need to be aware that Microsoft are now starting to introduce additional administrative charges if you're using Azure Arc. So that's a real thing to be aware of. I just, on this slide here, I was just breaking down what does that really mean if you've got 24 cores of data center, Windows Server data center that need covering with extended support. If you buy it as a volume license, you're basically paying 7,800 a year. If you do it through Azure Arc, there's a saving. You're going to save about just over £1,000. But critically, with Azure Arc, you can kind of end it at any time as soon as you're ready to. The commitment is only, monthly. So the bit I was just mentioning previously was Microsoft introducing hot patching, without the need to restart the server. It's been available in Azure for a while. It is now coming to on-premise for Windows Server 2025. But it's kind of being done through Azure Arc, which was previously free or is currently free. Kind of in preview, it's free. But from the 1st of July, it will cost. I've only got dollar pricing, so I had to use that. $1.50 per month. So if you've enrolled in the preview for hot patching, either unenroll by the 30th of March or you're going to start being charged. So just please bear that in mind. Speak to us. More than happy to help explore that further. Microsoft have also announced computer use within Copilot Studio. So this is effectively if that agent is needing to go into websites, fill in forms, fill in the fields within the forms, kind of click through various menus, drop down menus, things like that. It's still in early access review. It's been a challenge for those using Copilot Studio. So this feature, this computer use intelligent feature, is hopefully going to will fix that issue. So that actually brings these slides to an end. As always, I feel like I've raced through them, but it did take the best part of 30 minutes. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for replying to the poll, part Paul, geez, Paul. And yeah, look, interesting, and I would agree. These need to be in the morning. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining. You will get all of the slides. There is a final poll that we would like to say in regards to would you like to have a review or any kind of follow-up calls with myself, because that's the type of thing I should be doing and saying things like that. So please do let me know if you would like to have a free licensing review, and we will absolutely jump on top of that. Um, Fair enough. Straight away, no. That's cool. Thank you. I've got a yes, so that's lovely. Thank you very much. I completely get it. Thank you very much for your time. And yeah, just let us know questions as they come up.